That lightweight. Ladies and gentlemen, E36 BMW M3. We just reviewed a totally stock one. Check out our M3 playlist. This one now has been tastefully modified. This is a M345, if you will, an M3 4-door with a 5-speed transmission. This has the S52 engine, not to be confused with the S50 engine. The S52 being the 3.2 liter, making 240 horsepower stock. But this car, as you can clearly see, has been heavily modified. In terms of engine and powertrain, we have a fully built block, Schrick cams, active auto work titanium headers and mid-pipe, K&M cold air intake, lightweight flywheel EUC Corsa exhaust. We've also done some chassis mods, ECS bracing both front and rear, KW coilovers in all 4 corners. We have the BBS wheels, of course, saving, I think he said like 10 pounds per corner, which is really impressive. With all the sound deadening he's removed and all the various components, removing the spare tire and such, he says it's down to around 2,800 pounds. In stock, these things were around 3,100. So close to 300 pounds in savings. And then of course little cosmetic things like clear lights on the side, which I think looks a lot cleaner. I should also mention a engine tune from Capital Performance with a full emissions delete and a lightweight flywheel. Short shift kit as well as short throw kit. And the owner, Forrest, is clearly really proud of this car, as he should be. He's used all period correct parts. Looks like that floor mat was sliding a little bit onto the throttle pedal. Power steering delete, so it's completely unassisted, which I have no issue with. I think it's actually more fun that way. And this steering is obviously not OEM. Got rid of that massive centerpiece here and put on this this rim that's a lot thicker, has a lot of padding on it too. This feels a step in the direction of the more modern BMW M steerings. Now, with the steering, there is a little bit of play. I mean, you gotta remember this is an older car, 200,000 miles or 198, and in the center, a little bit of play. But I love, oh my god, I love how communicative an unassisted rack can be. Getting plenty of feedback and loading up through the wheel mid-corner. The short shift kit having this really satisfying mechanical nature to it, very notchy, but a little bit of play here, as you can see. Still decently tight. Dude, I'm really enjoying the steering though. Just getting out of the E36 not too long ago, 30 minutes ago, the stock one, and getting into this. I love how communicative the steering is. Dude, mid-corner feedback through this is just, money. The feedback, even if the accuracy is a little bit low, the feedback is money. Let's try to catch that G80. Getting from 4th to 5th feels a little bit vague there. All the other gears are fine, but just 4th to 5th, a little bit tricky. Not a problem on the stock E36. Something to do with this short shift kit. Oh yeah. The way that the steering just tells you so much, and the weighting low to high as you drive, even at speed, is really satisfying. I gotta remind myself the lightweight flywheel, don't need to hit the throttle quite as hard. It's It's very responsive with the throttle. Brakes aren't super bitey, but they're really nice and linear. I appreciate that. What a cool car. I love when people take a solid foundation that the E36 is and then add their own flavor to it. And this is really a fun build. I really appreciate this. You know, it's making a decent amount more power than the stock one. And I felt like the totally stock E36 is balanced, right? Meaning that it's like, it's not too slow, but it's also not fast. This car feels quick though, and I love that. This fully built S52 engine. I guess we did eventually catch the G80, this thing's younger brother, but only because the RAV4 ahead, or not the RAV4, the Jeep ahead. A lot of rattles. I mean, this car is close to 200,000 miles. And I'm not sure if he refreshed all the bushings and such. I'm getting the sense that maybe those need to be addressed. You know, I love KWs, but it's feeling a little bit harsher than normal. I don't know his exact settings, of course. Forget that you don't have any assisted steering. It's really heavy when you're going slow, obviously. But hey, in America, we need more of a workout when we're driving our cars. We're also sedentary and such. Yeah, you have to be very intentional getting into fifth gear. The other gears are pretty fine. I feel like the clutch throw in E36s, the clutch pedal is a little bit longer of a throw than I'd expect. And maybe I'm noticing it more because of the short shift kit, because when this is really short and then that's long, it feels a little bit incongruent. But that's just part of modifying a car. There's not really necessarily a problem with that, just something that I'm noticing. I think the cushioning on the steering is actually a really nice touch, because when it's unassisted, you have to put in a lot more effort, and if it was a really hard, plasticky kind of surface, then you know your hands are gonna feel beat up pretty quickly. So this cushioning is actually, I think, a smart move from the owner. Today was my first time ever driving an E36, the stock one, and it's kind of funny. We have these expectations of cars. For me, the way I was expecting the stock E36 to drive was actually probably closer to this, a little bit sharper, a little bit harder edged. And also a little bit more powerful, right? So this is decently quicker, substantially so, than a stock E36. You know, both of them are S52 engine, not S50. And what you got to keep in mind too is that the weight of the vehicle with an unassisted rack, right? So I've driven an NA Miata on track, also unassisted, and it's a very different feel, a different experience, which is very different from a car like this, which is 2,800 pounds. So I think the kind of person who's okay with unassisted steering on a vehicle like this it's probably going to be younger and fit, and you know, they want a little bit of effort when they're driving. I think it's part of the fun, part of the enjoyment. I'm all for it, but I think a lot of people would be put off by it. I mean, I know some people that were put off by that NA Miata on track as well, as an example. This also sounds way more mean with the various modifications he's done, the exhaust and such, the engine bay as well, the intake.
Yes, please.
It really is so special getting to meet your childhood heroes. As a kid, I loved BMWs. The E36, the E46, the E60, the E39. I mean, these were the vehicles growing up I thought were like the coolest vehicles I definitely wanted to own when I got older. And of course, things change. You know, the car market today and what cars are is so different than they were back then. But these vehicles really, they still feel so special. Meeting them today, first time driving an E36 M3, first time with you know, a lot of these different M3s and M5s, and BMW had this sauce, man. It had the secret sauce in the 90s and the 2000s, and the way that you would feel connected to the vehicle, the way that it would communicate through the chassis, is something special. And I think a lot of us now miss that with BMW getting more numb, more isolated, more video game like, more disconnected feeling, especially the front ends. Those front ends are so numb. And it's cool when you see owners like Forrest here, who's so passionate, and they take what's already such a great canvas and they add, you know, splashes of color. They make it a little bit more exciting, a little bit more raw, a little bit more visceral. No power assisted steering. I love that. These little touches that it's so hard to find driving experiences like this in this day and age, and I'm just grateful for the opportunity. Big thanks to Fenton from the Zygreen YouTube channel, to Steven, to Mark, who organized this whole day for us, and the owners, of course, who were generous enough with their cars to let us review them. Really, such a treat. My friends, let me know what you think of this modified E36 M3. What do you think of the E36 in general? You know, how is it, you know, starting from the E30 to the 36 to the 46 and the 90 and, you know, F80 and G80? What do you think of the BMW M3? We're about to hop into the G80. If you haven't already, check out our whole playlist comparing all the M3s and M5s. Link in the description. Much love, my friends. Subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you all so much, and I'll see you all in that next one.